Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. My name is David Walker. I'm Director of the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center, and welcome to How to SEO Like a Pro in 2022 and beyond. At least I think that's what it's called. It's about SEO. And our presenter today is Zack Barton, who knows more about SEO than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. But before
Quit insulting me.
Before we get there, though, a little bit about us. We're the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center. We're located in Northern California, about halfway between Sacramento and the Oregon border. We're a nonprofit that provides confidential, no-cost advisory and training services to small businesses. Now, whether you're in our area or whether you're somewhere else in the U.S. doesn't matter. There's an SBDC near you. There's nearly 1,000 SBDCs across the nation covering every county in the United States. We're funded by the Small Business Administration and a bunch of different local places. In our case, we're funded by the SBA and the state of California, and we're hosted by Cal Poly Humboldt University. Bottom line is all of these organizations, these SBDC centers, they are there to provide you with no-cost advisory services. It's already been paid for through your taxes, and they're there to help small businesses grow and succeed. So take advantage of them. You've already paid for them. They're free. So find out, you need help with your small business. It's a place you can go to get some answers. This is a picture. This is actually an older one. I need to give Zack the new slide deck. But at any rate, these are some of our advisors. One of them, as you can see, is a cartoon with wings. That's because he steadfastly refuses to give me a headshot, but that's okay. At any rate, we have access to these guys. Each of these people have expertise in one subject matter or another, and they're all available to entrepreneurs and small business owners in our area at no charge. And for us, we have access to another 4 dozen or so scattered throughout Northern California. But like I said, if you're not in Northern California, there's an SBDC near you. There's one covering every county. Let's look at the next slide and get going here. This is what happens when you get lawyers involved. I have been required to read this to you in case there's people on cell phones that can't actually see this or whatever, so I have to read this. I'm going to read it as quickly as possible. This is our disclaimer. The information provided in this webinar and any supplementary materials provided to registrants are intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional, financial, or legal advice. No registrant should act or fail to act on the basis of any material contained in this webinar without obtaining proper financial, legal, or other professional advice specific to their situation. The Northern California Small Business Development Center and its host, the HSU Sponsored Programs Foundation, specifically disclaims any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence, directly or indirectly, of the use and application of any of the information presented in this webinar. There you go. So now I'm sure you're a much better person for having read that. Let's see, we're going to turn it over to Zack Barton. He is the speaker for today, and I'll let him take it from there. Thanks.
All right, thanks, David. And can you guys hear me okay? And can you see me okay? Desiree, sorry about the background noise there. That should be gone. I think that was probably an air conditioner in David's office.
It's a huge fan in my office that we haven't been able to fix.
David's got a huge fan for that. There.
Yeah, and I apologize for that, and I'm going to mute myself so you won't have to listen to it anymore. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. And Eric says, sounds good. Very cool. Thanks for thanks, Shauna. Thanks, Desiree. Thanks, Eric, for weighing in. Excellent. Well, just so you guys know who the heck you're hearing from today, I'm going to introduce myself very quickly. My name is Zack Barton. I have 19 years of professional experience in the areas of web design, development, marketing, and branding, and that would include things like SEO and analytics as well. I should probably have another bullet point or two on here, but I was with a web design agency in the Cleveland, Ohio area for about 6 years, and then got picked up by an e-commerce company in the Bay Area. and they actually are the company that started Zappos, so not a small company. Worked for them for about 4 years, and then ended up splitting off to do my own thing. I just had too much side work going on, and it just made sense to start my own agency. So I built a team around me starting in January of 2014. And we've had the privilege of serving clientele, including Eddie Bauer, Wet Seal, Wells Fargo, Vitamin Shop, T-Mobile, Ely Tahari, Skechers, and other large businesses, but a lot of medium and small businesses as well. So, well, you know a tiny bit about me. You'll get to know me a little bit better over this next hour and a half or so. But at a very high level, we're going to be looking at SEO, of course, and we're going to be breaking it into 2 sections. And so I would say the first half, roughly, would be on local SEO. And we'll do an overview, like what the heck is local SEO? Why, does it matter right now? Why does it matter? If so, what are the current best practices? And then we're going to do the same thing with national or international SEO. So just a general overview, definitions, and does it matter right now? Will it matter in 2023? If so, what can be done? What should be done? That kind of stuff. Okay, so let's just jump right in. But before I do, I want to ask a quick question just to get a little bit of a feel for the room. Can you use the chat box to quickly let David and I know how much experience do you have with SEO? Are you a rock star? Are you a novice? Are you somewhere in the middle? Have you never even heard that term before? Novice, okay. Average, some experience, no experience, novice, average, very little experience, some experience. Okay, cool. Wow, really, really helpful. Thanks so much for answering. I love it, and I'm going to do this hopefully to keep this fun and interactive. I'll be asking questions like this here and there, and would love for you guys to continue to chime in. And at certain points, we'll kind of open it up more for questions. If there were only 1 or 2 of you in here, I would say, hey, let's just keep this really conversational and just kind of be chatting the whole time. We probably have just enough in here where I don't know that we would want to do that, just so we can stay on track. But we will open it up, for questions a few times. And I'll be checking in with questions like that here and there. Just so you know, the way we created this webinar, this is, what I think would be great for someone who is brand new, all the way to someone who's actually quite good in SEO and maybe even does it for a living, maybe even exclusively or at least part-time. So it should be good for everybody that's here. Some of the things I hear some of you saying, we have some experience, been doing it for a little while. I would say that, okay, so there might be a couple of steps that might not be real helpful or applicable to you, but then maybe the ones after that you go, oh, actually I did not know that. So just so you know. All right, so let's look at 2022. And man, it's been a weird couple of years, hasn't it, guys? Understatement. With the economy and all sorts of things, with the Browns game. No, but with SEO as well, and with Google, it's not been a steady thing. It's been very strange, and a lot of changes have taken place over the last couple of years. And anyways, so we had 2020, we had the global pandemic, and then that kind of just kept going. And I was telling David, I had COVID last month, and boy, that just really wasn't fun at all. But back to Google, 2021 comes, and all these Google updates take place, and by Google I mean Google, the search engine side of the company. Most notably, in my opinion, is they rolled out a major page experience update, and then this is just this was a killer for a lot of folks. Maybe a good thing though, But about halfway through last year, they said they were taking direct aim at link spam, and they made a late July update. Is anybody familiar with either of those major updates? I mean, those were F5 tornado kind of updates in the SEO world. Anybody know what I'm talking about, or not so much? You guys might not follow those kind of changes. No idea. All right, thanks for weighing in. So those are big changes, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them. But because Google keeps updating their product, and they don't do it to throw us off, they don't do it because they're meanies, they are trying to make sure that their product is good and that people continue to use it, because yes, there are other search engines out there. They're not the only one. And if their product starts to stink, and other companies keep getting better and better, well, what's going to happen? Google's not the newest, coolest thing anymore. And actually, this one over here is better. Something like that could happen. So they're continually trying to reinvent themselves and better improve, their product and make sure people keep using them for so many searches daily. I read yesterday that it's up to over 8.5 billion searches per day that people are searching on Google. So they want to make sure that their product is rock solid, right? So anyways, because of those changes, certain things that were true in the world of SEO, well, they might have been really true in 2018, and maybe that was like the way to do something, but well, now we're getting close to 2023, and because certain updates took place in Google, like the two that I just mentioned, we're going to want to change a couple things in terms of how we approach search engine optimization. I'm going to go a little deeper with that. But here are what I would consider the top tips for both local SEO and national SEO. Okay, this is based on research and years of real world experience. But let's start with part one, local SEO. Before we start sharing, okay, number one, you got to do this. Well, let's just take a big step back and say, well, what is local SEO? Because I think there are people here who are probably like, I don't even know what that means. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And, when you think of a search engine, hopefully you're picturing something like to the right. If you're, let's say you're driving across the state and you're starving and there's a McDonald's somewhere around you, but you don't know where it is. So you open up your phone and you just type in McDonald's and boom, you have the search results. So this is, of course, a search engine, and these are the local search results. Now we're going to give a little bit better definition of SEO when we get to the national and international half of this webinar. But with local SEO, I just want you to think about, hey, there is you're looking at the local search results and you want to optimize your business to show up in these, right? And hopefully to climb in those, right? So according to Moz, here's a quick definition, but local SEO, that's all about increasing search visibility for businesses that serve their communities face-to-face. They can be brick and mortar businesses with physical locations, like a grocery store or a dentist's office, or a service area business that operates through a certain geographic area, like an electrician or a house cleaning company. This includes everything from claiming a business listing to ensuring a franchise location appears in a local search on Google. It also extends to managing online ratings and reviews, local-centric social media engagement, and beyond. So essentially, it's saying, okay, people are searching Google and other search engines for local businesses every day, and this is about getting our businesses on to those local search engine listings and climbing those as best we can. And Sarah, I see you have a good question there. I'm going to go ahead and answer that really quick. Sarah has a question in the chat, and it says, does having a home office affect this? Well, if it was 2017, Sarah, I would say, unfortunately, yes. You will not be able to participate. You will not be on Google Maps. You can't use Google business listings. But we're now almost in 2023, and as of I think it was 2018 or 19, Google changed their policy on that, Sarah, and said, you know what? You no longer have to have a physical location. As long as you give us a real address and can prove it's you, you can do that, and then you can hide your address from, from being shown publicly. Now, would that, so that would not prevent you from. I'll just leave it with that. That would not prevent you from participating, and so I would highly encourage you to do that. Okay, so is local SEO important in 2022? Is this one of those things that's just not really important anymore? Was SEO like a thing from just a few years ago? Well, let's find out. So here are a couple of statistics. 50% of people who did a local search on their phone went to a physical store within 1 day. And these are statistics, by the way, from the Search Engine Journal, who does a huge annual study on SEO. I mean, in addition to constantly churning out great articles, once a year they have a monster article come out. And so this was this year's monster article. It had some great stats in there. 34% did their search on a computer or tablet. Who did their search on a tablet, computer or tablet, did the same as the first bullet point. 18% of local mobile searches led to a sale within 1 day. 60% of American adults conduct searches for local services or product information on tablets and smartphones. I'm definitely in one of these. Are you guys local searchers as well? Do you guys do local searches? Are you tracking with me? Maybe if you can answer that as I keep reading these. 50% of searchers on their mobile phones who conduct local searches are looking for things like a local business address. I do that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Okay, looks like you guys do too. Thanks for weighing in. 78% of local-based searches on a mobile device end in a purchase being made offline. I mean, this is huge for business owners. You don't want to be missing this. This is so much traffic. 71% of people who have been surveyed have said they search for the location of a business in order to confirm its existence. That's me. I know I do that before going there for the first time visit. Looks like, yeah, you guys are all on the same page. Thanks. And COVID shut down a lot of businesses, and times are tough, economically, as you know, and so you can't just automatically assume that just because you've heard of a business or know about a business from a long time ago that they're open, that their hours are what they were 5 years ago. So I think a lot of us are probably in this category. Just a couple more. 1 in 3 searches on a smartphone were conducted just before arriving at a store. I think I'm one of those. 97% of consumers looked online for local businesses in 2017, with 12% looking for a local business online every day. I just took my family to New York City. I can't tell you how many times. I mean, we had Google up. Sometimes you're just walking around with our phone. One of us had our phone open, and we're just either looking at Google Maps or we're looking at, okay, what's the best New York style pizza here? We've heard it's Joe's, but is it really Joe's? And why are there 6 Joes, and are they all legit, or are some of them a sham, or what's, so that kind of information, I guess you could keep asking strangers, but are they, anyways, it's helpful. I think we're convinced. So we know local SEO, we know it's, what it is, we know it's important, but what can we actually do to compete with other businesses? And so this is how I would answer that question. By better understanding Google's ranking signals, and working to accommodate those as much as possible within reason. And Sarah, you asked, do we provide handouts or guides after getting started? And David, if you can answer really quick, are we going to be handing out the slide or the recording? Because I know this is being recorded.
Yeah, we are going to be sending out a copy of the slides to everybody at the end of, within a day or two of the end of the session, and we'll be sending a link to the recording. Okay,
there we go. So there you go, guys. Hope that's helpful. I don't have a PDF of this, but you'll be getting, it sounds like you'll be getting the slides afterwards. So you don't have to try to write, or type, 500 pages of notes or anything. Okay, so there are a lot of ranking factors or ranking signals. Okay, so what Google doesn't just it's not like a magic 8-ball where it's just random, arbitrary, showing them in a random order. That's not how this works. And Google is not super explicit with, hey, here's our exact recipe for how we rank everything that we show. Because if we all knew it, we would all be trying to hack our way up ourselves up to the top, right? We do anyway, but if they told us exactly how to get to the top, it would be madness. So they tell you certain things. Certain things will say, just so you know, this really will help your business's visibility in the search engine results. They'll say certain things like that, but they don't say this is the most important, this is the second most important. But studies do not only uncover a few more of those ranking factors or signals, but also help to try to get a better understanding of, well, how weighty is this one, and how about that one? Because some of them seem pretty important, while others seem, not as important. So here are what I would consider to be the top 10 ranking signals. Now, I actually am going to share more than 10, but just so you're not feeling like you're sitting in front of a fire hose. The last time we did this, here are our top 25 local ranking factors. 25 was just so much. So we'll kind of breeze through those last 15 just in a couple slides. But these first 10 are more like, we're not saying, hey, these are the most important. Some of them for sure are, but they're more like in terms of, having a solid foundation before going for some of the others. These are the ones that you might want to focus on first. And if you have these covered, yeah, then really focus on those other ones that come at, near 9 or 10, or, getting into 11 through 25. Those might be more relevant to you. Hope that makes sense. Are you guys still awake? I'm going to get a quick sip of water. You guys tracking with me? I'm just going to hope that you are. Not hearing from anybody at this point. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Okay, cool. Thanks, Denise. All right. So let's just dive into, thanks, Desiree. Excellent. So let's just dive in. First of all, absolutely, this is the first one I would start with if you haven't yet. Thanks, Jocelyn. Would be having a Google business profile. So if you're like, hey, I want our business to be on Google Maps. I want us to be showing up in that little local search pack. How do we do that? Well, this would definitely be the first recommendation that I would have for you. Would be, well, if you haven't claimed your Google business profile, do it now. It really does take a few minutes, at least for the initial setup, and then you do have to prove that you're a real human being with a real business. So there are a couple of hoops, but they're not impossible hoops or anything. But you can check our past webinars to get detailed steps on how to get started. Or if you wanted to, what I would probably do, I would just because it's faster and easier, and it may have changed since our last webinar because it's constantly changing. You could just Google business profile or Google my business. And hopefully you're not going to just leave this webinar and go do that now and see you later. But write that down if you haven't already done that for your business. This is a crucial step one. And then hopefully you're going to look like one of these two after you've done that. Now, which one would you want to look like? These are two different businesses in the Reading area. Which one would you want your business to look like? Does one of these look better than the other? Yeah, Lindsay says to the right, Jacob says to the right. So I would side with you guys, no pun intended. Desiree, Jocelyn, thanks for weighing in. Okay, everybody's agreeing right, and I would agree. The one on the left for me gets a cringe face because it's not a claimed business. There's no photos entered. You just see the street view, which is probably taken by some kind of robot car driving around taking photos. And ooh, those reviews are not helping, you know. So if I'm a customer and I'm looking at the business on the left and if I'm seeing that, I don't know about you, but I personally would get concerned. I don't know if I would want to pay them for anything. Whereas the business on the right, unless I'm a health nut, which I'm trying to get more and more healthy these days, but if I was just in a giant burger eating mood, hey, the one on the right's kind of doing it for me if I didn't already have plenty of experiential knowledge of Black Bear Diner. But hey, look at their stars, look at their reviews, ratings rather. They took their own photos. They have different ways to contact them. You can order online, so they have order delivery and order pickup. They're open. It tells me how expensive they are roughly. Not sure if that would be accurate. I guess so. They have a physical location shown, more details, open and closing time. They really did a good job with this, and I'm sure it's not hurting. So number 2, let's say you already took that first step, and I think a lot of you probably have already. Number 2 would be getting your photos on Google Business Profile. So you saw it with that business on the left. They didn't do that. And that's just not as good a look. If you can take some photos, that would be a lot more compelling to your potential customers. Take photos of your location, your products, your staff, even with your customers, obviously with permission. But that lends credibility to your business and serves as a local ranking signal. Number 3 would be the number of positive reviews. So let's say you're thinking, Zach, we've already done that. We have our business claimed, and we've uploaded a photo or two, or we don't know how to do that, but we're trying to figure that out right now. Tell us something new. Well, here's something new. Number of positive reviews. My goodness. So in addition to claiming your listing, you want to make sure that the majority of your reviews are positive. According to Google, a good source for this information, high quality reviews improve your business's visibility. So they're saying it straight out of the horse's mouth. They're saying this is going to improve your business's visibility. I know I personally, just as a human, that helps me. That builds trust with me. If I'm looking at your business and a few other businesses, and your business has 1 review and your competitors have 500 reviews, even if you might be a better business, but the numbers are telling me otherwise, and so I might consider those other businesses more than yours. And like I said, you might have the superior product or service. Really quick, while we're here, it is against Google's review policies to ask for reviews in exchange for something. Let's see here, or set up review stations. But I can tell you, like I said, I have an agency, and one of our clients, they're so bold with getting these reviews that at the bottom of every single email, they say, review our business on Google. And the first time I saw that, I thought, the very first time I got an email from that customer, I thought, man, he's already asking me for a review. Wow, I guess I'll do it. But I didn't realize that's at the bottom of every email he sends. And you know what? At first I thought, it's a little off-putting, but they have more in their industry. They have more reviews on Google than anybody else in the state. And guess where they're positioned in the local search pack? Number 1, by far, all day long. And because of that, they're just crushing their competition with the local searches. I mean, they get so much traffic. So there's a freebie right there, something to consider. I see some questions coming in. Let me pause and take a look at these. Yeah, Jacob, thanks for weighing in. I agree. The one on the right was just way better. Those same photos make great social posts as well. Great point, Brianna. And honestly, you can use them on your website too. You can use them in multiple places. I always tell people, if you can afford it, get a great photo shoot. And it sounds like it would be ROI, death, but the opposite. It actually is very helpful. I can see how this applies to broad-based consumer business, but how does it apply to a specialty professional service business? Well, I would think that a specialty professional service business, David, you might have to try to rephrase that, because I feel like I'm probably not understanding, but I think if you rephrase it or tell me a little bit more, I'll be able to answer that question. So I'm going to keep moving in the meantime, but let's compare a few examples really quick, and I won't spend a lot of time here because I feel like you guys are pretty much tracking with me, but we're going to compare 3 different burger joints. So let's pretend that you are in Reading for the first time, and you are maybe from another country, and you want to try this American cheeseburger. You've never had one, and for some reason Reading is the first place that you're at, and you've never heard of any of these places, and you turn to Google. Now, there are actually a lot of internationals in Reading, but you turn to Google because you don't have someone standing next to you to tell you otherwise. And so you turn to Google and you're looking for these, a good burger option. So you look at the first 3, and the first one is In-N-Out Burger. And so they have, just pay attention for a second here, 4.6 stars, almost 4,000 reviews. And then they next see Five Guys, 4.3 stars, less than 500 reviews. And then the last one they see, the Habit Burger, 4.5 stars, 1,162 reviews. I'm going to go through them one more time, but if you were that person, tell me which one you would pick. Okay, so A would be In-N-Out Burger, B would be Five Guys, and C would be Habit Burger. Let's see if you can weigh into the chat and let us know. And then Mr. David Walker, if you are okay with it, maybe you can help keep an eye on some of the questions that I can't get to quite yet, but maybe when we're halfway through, we can answer the ones that haven't been answered yet.
Okay.
Thanks. So now we always get funny answers, a lot of times get funny answers when we show these examples right here. But I'm with most of you. Desiree, I understand why you would say that, and Habit is tasty and fun. But I think most people would say In-N-Out. Yeah, okay, Jacob, I see what you're saying. Yeah, right. They have. So Jacob's saying, hey, it's not just about how high those stars are. I mean, as long as it's, whether it's 4.1 or 5 stars, I like what you're saying, Jacob. I totally agree with you. Let's look at these. So this one's got almost 4,000 reviews. So it happens to have the highest rating and the most reviews. So I would say most people would pick this one if they didn't know otherwise, and know that, no affiliation. This is not a commercial or anything like that. But I think most people would pick this one. And then a lot of times, like I said, we do get really funny answers, and that somebody will throw out one that's not even an option or whatever. But Jacob, I'm with you. If I see a business has 4.1 stars or even 3.9 stars or something, and they happen to have a couple thousand reviews, I'm thinking they can't be that bad. It might not be perfect, but they can't be that bad. So, all right, well, let's keep moving forward. And thanks for weighing in, guys. Try to keep this fun. So reviews with responses. So maybe you've already taken, I always tell David, I picture like a Candyland board or something, like, okay, you've gotten through the first 3, like, have you gotten to number 4 yet? Reviews with responses. So maybe you've done those first few things, like maybe you are getting some reviews. Maybe you do have really nice photos in there, and of course your listing is set up. Are you responding to those reviews? So the number of reviews with a response is also known to contribute to local SEO. That's also a ranking factor, believe it or not. So here's an example of that. Someone gave it a 5-star review. You guys might have been here. the bike shop on Bocelli. And so the owner gives this response, and it's just a really kind response. And that's that's a nice thing, but it also shows humans and Google that, hey, you care, you're here, you're reading those, you're interacting, and maybe there's a not good response. You certainly would want to respond to that too in a very kind way. Okay, number 5, create a Facebook business page. So many people use Facebook as a search engine. Interesting. I'm not one of those, but my wife is. And so that's why this has its own number on the list. Facebook's one of the biggest websites that are out there. And yeah, you can search Facebook, and you can search, the marketplace, or you can search, there's different parts of it you can search. So yeah, this is a thing. Make sure you at least create a business page and update it with your website, your hours, and a description. We're going to talk a little bit more about that soon. So if this is raising lots of questions, why is that in there? More on this soon. Social signals may have a limited impact, but they do have an impact on social SEO. So here's an example. Ignore that red outline. Sorry, I should have removed that. Of a local coffee shop that just has a nice looking Facebook business page. All right, number 6. Hopefully you're not ready to take a nap on me yet, but we're going to talk about consistent NAP. NAP. Does anybody know what NAP is before this webinar? I would love to know. I'll be kind of surprised if you have. Oh, Shauna has. Awesome. Wow. And Sarah kind of, yeah. Cool. Wow. That's impressive, guys. Brianna too. Okay. Very cool. So you want to make sure, so it stands for name, address, and phone number. You want to make sure that those are consistent across all the listings online if possible. For review sites, for maps, for social media. And if you look at, let's see here. Okay, actually more of you have heard of this than I thought. So let's go back. And if we look at the address here, this is why this shouldn't have been in red yet, but it is. So here we go. Hey, this is in Toronto. If you guys ever get over to Toronto, I was pretty far away, but so this is how their address shows on their Facebook business page, but how does it show in Google? How does it show in Yelp? How does it show on their website? Is it the exact same? Is the business name the exact same? That's what we're talking about here. We want to make sure that those are all consistent, because Google, they want to make sure that they're providing accurate information, right? They don't want to be showing the wrong address. So if maybe you got your business set up on Google local listings, and a year later you moved your business, you started a Facebook page, you started a Yelp account, but you forgot to update it on Google. Google just wants to make sure that they're sharing the most accurate information. So it's like, well, does that last example, does it match this one? Is it the same exact format? So making sure that your business name has the same name, address, and phone number are exactly the same makes it easier for customers to connect with your business. I was just helping somebody with this a month or two ago, who they called our business and they were wanting to climb higher in local SEO. And I saw that we ended up doing a site audit for them, and I noticed that their business name on their website was different than their business name on social media. And I do this stuff all day long. I could not figure out if it was the same business or not. The branding looked a little bit different. So I actually had to reach out and say, was this you? And then you're actually also using 2 different domains. And I had no idea. So that's probably not helping their listings with Google either. I'm sure it's not. So if it was, I don't think she would have called us for help. So anyways, so you don't want to have one business name show, and this is not her business, but Rose Famous Burger Joint, and then another place show Rose Burger Joint LLC. Hers were even more different than that. I want to keep looking at the questions, but we're gonna probably I'm gonna have to look at those at our, right at the end of our local SEO section of this webinar. So mobile responsiveness, it feels funny for me as the years go on. Each year I feel sillier and sillier saying your website should be mobile friendly. If this were 10 years ago, okay, I think it would make more sense. But believe it or not, yes, there are still websites that are not mobile friendly. In fact, one of our clients, they do not have a mobile friendly business, and they're in San Jose. And so we're trying to help them with that. But anyways, it's not just that it's annoying to me or anything like that. It's people in general. I mean, the majority of website views are done on mobile devices, and Google knows that. So something that Google rolled out in the last year or two was called mobile first indexing. And I'm assuming that some of you have heard of that, but what it essentially means is when Google is, obviously it's not a human being looking at every single website in existence around the clock, every single website, there's just not enough people to do that. But so Google is crawling every website, of course, and they used to crawl it on a desktop device. Now it's crawling on a mobile device just to see, first of all, is this a mobile friendly website? And it should be mobile friendly. It should also be user friendly to people on a desktop device like the one I'm on my laptop right now. So if it's on the website and it sees, oh, this isn't mobile friendly, not only is that bad for SEO for your website in general, that's also bad for local SEO, Google says. So you should be on top of this already, but if you aren't, now's the time. Google's mobile friendly test can get you started. If you could, I don't know if the next slide was going to show a screenshot of the mobile friendly test. If you're not sure if your website's mobile friendly, or at least want to know what Google thinks of it, you can actually Google mobile friendly tests. And you might not even have to leave the search engine at this point to start that test. But you just enter your web address in there and it will start scanning your website. In a minute or two later, usually it'll let you know what it's finding and what it believes would be, if it's rock solid or areas needing to be improved. They're going to give you a green, yellow, or red. They're going to give you a number on a scale of 0 to 100 on how user friendly it is for mobile, and then same thing for desktop. And that's helpful information. Okay, number 8, inbound links from local relevant sites. Advanced? I wouldn't call this advanced. I just think that it's more involved, probably. It's not complex. It's not, Greek or anything. It's just, there's more involved in getting really solid local inbound links. And I don't mean buying links in a back alley somewhere and they're, trashy quality. No, I'm talking about legit local websites, businesses or organizations linking back to your website. So links from local news sites, community blogs, and so forth prove that your site is trusted by your neighbors. So this is the SEO, some of the SEO software that my company uses. We use Ahrefs, or some people call it Ahrefs. And so you can see some good examples of that. Inbound using, okay, this is fancy stuff. This is very, very good stuff. Inbound links using local and keyword in anchor text. So anchor text, those are the words that are in the link, not the address that it points to, but the words that could be clicked on. And so that's anchor text. So if not only in number 8, we talked about a local site pointing to yours, if it also happens to have anchor text that includes some kind of geo-specific word or two, and then a keyword or two somehow, and it's linking to your site, that is very, very, very powerful stuff. So a wide range of inbound links from well-optimized sites is great, but the holy grail is an inbound link from a high authority site using both your city or neighborhood and the main key term. You can do that. Wow, good job. Okay, number 10 out of 10 mostly would be proximity to the searcher. And this is worth mentioning, I think, because it's something that you need to know. If you're going to be working on this stuff and you're going to say, Zach, we really, really want to make our local SEO better, but you're in the middle of nowhere, 1,000 miles from anybody else, that is a problem. So, you can't optimize for a physical location. Let's see here. What do I have here? While you can't optimize for a physical location, it is a strong ranking signal, which is why claiming your Google business profile and having consistent NAP is important. I'm just going to actually paraphrase on that. I'm not sure about that bullet point, but proximity to the searcher. What I'm trying to say here is, if I'm standing right next to your business, let's say it's a shoe store, and I type shoe store, and you have one review, and Johnny's shoe store down the street has 1,000 reviews. Yours, since you're right next to me, it's probably going to show up first. Does that make sense? So you can't optimize it, and I think that's why that bullet read a little bit funny to me, but makes sense here. So you can't optimize your physical location. You can't obviously like move your store around to be closer to the people that are searching for you, obviously. If you could, great, but you can't. So, but it's really good to know that this is one of the highest ranking signals that there is with the local search pack, the proximity to the searcher. Okay, so it matters where your business is located, is all I'm trying to say. There are people that ask me, why aren't we ranking higher? We have this, and this, and they don't. Well, it could be that the searcher is standing right next to them, or you're 1 mile further than that other business. And so that does matter, and Google will tell you the same thing. So these are additional known local SEO ranking factors. So I didn't want to have a slide or two for every single one of these. We did previously, the last time we did this webinar earlier this year, and it was just too much information. So I'm going to go through these a little bit faster, because otherwise it just feels like it's too much content. But if you are really confused on any of these, or if you have a question on these, or have anything like that, feel free to throw it out there, and we're going to pause in just a minute or two. And if we have time, I'd love to answer your questions. Okay. So number 11 would be, Google business profile categories. Okay, so you have your Google business profile set up. Have you done a good job filling it out? Like, did you do a good job with the categories? Now, what Google recommends is, sometimes people say, how many categories can I have? Well, I think the answer is 20, at least last time I checked. But Google doesn't recommend that. They recommend instead focusing on just a handful of the most relevant categories. Like, what's the most relevant? And that will make them a little bit weightier. I think that's good information. Number 12, Bing places for business. Okay, so you have thought of, probably by now, you either have your business on Google Maps, or you're thinking about it. But Bing Places is an equivalent. Have you taken a few more minutes and gotten set up over there? That would be a good move, because Google it's not a monopoly. They don't have 100% of all search engine traffic. So Bing's, still used by quite a few people. Number 13, online business directories and citations. In other words, there are local directories, and that can be really helpful for your business, even when it comes to local SEO. So an example would be maybe a chamber of commerce or something like that, where they might have the shoe store businesses in the area. If you're on there, that is going to help you. Listings on review sites, reviews with keywords and location. It's funny, somebody called in last week. She was in Reading, and I'm trying to remember what she was asking. Her and her husband just started a plumbing business, and they saw that I said, have you taken a look at your competitors' websites, and have you taken a look at their local search result listings in the local search package? She said, yeah. And she started kind of reading to me, and she says, plumbing business in Redding, California. And she kept, the way she was reading it, it was very obvious that they had really optimized as much as they could, probably almost too much, for location on their website. I mean, it just kept coming up, plumber in Redding, California, over and over. And but it's not hurting them. I mean, they were showing up in the number 1 and number 2 slots, I believe. So okay, we'll keep moving. Percentage of negative reviews not responded to. So we already talked about the positive reviews and those being responded to. If Google is seeing a certain number of negative reviews not responded to, that is sending signals to them as well. Social listings, localized content, which kind of ties into number, I think, 15. Number 19, title and meta description. I don't know if I really call that intermediate. I guess it just depends on who you're talking to. But if you are just making sure to optimize those at least somewhat, that can help you even when it comes to local SEO, absolutely. High quality inbound links. Intermediate, yeah, maybe. It's just getting those links can be tricky unless you're thinking outside of the box. And again, I strongly discourage paying for links. Doing that would be against Google's terms of service. I won't tell anybody, but Google's smart enough to see that kind of stuff. So number 21, click-through rates from search results. Advanced? Maybe. In other words, if 1,000 people a day are seeing your business in the local search pack and nobody's clicking on it, yes, that is known to be sending a signal as well to Google. The click-through rates are really bad. Nobody's clicking. On-page location and keyword optimization, structured data markup. I would probably put that in the advanced category. It's not rocket science, but you can add schema to your website. I would imagine a couple of you are already doing this, judging by some of the comments, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. I'll probably get into it in a little bit, but you can be adding what's called schema to your website, and that could potentially help when it comes to local SEO. Diversity of inbound links, domain authority of your website. In other words, the number of high quality backlinks pointing from other websites to your website. That's supposed to be the #1 ranking factor for national and international SEO, but that's also a factor for local SEO, studies show. So I'm going to take a breath and a drink, and let's pause for a moment while I'm doing that. And if you happen to have questions, or if David saw some questions that I just didn't get to yet, now might be a good time for us to hit those. So
there was one question that came in a little bit ago. How do you handle on the Google business page? How do you handle business hours when you're by appointment only on that? And if it helps, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
So if I'm not mistaken, you can set 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. Open and close times, but I believe there's also a by appointment only checkbox or something along those lines.
Yeah, I know that with because that's the way we are here at our office at the SBDC, and there's so I'm kind of interested if there's something better than what we're doing, but there is a service options box where it talks about whether you do online appointments or and you can say on-site service is not available, but that doesn't always, address it, but you can choose those. But I haven't seen anything that says by appointment only, personally.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks, David. And it is always evolving. There haven't been giant. I take that back. I was going to say there haven't been giant changes to the Google My Business setup recently, but that's totally incorrect. Because I help someone set one of these up pretty regularly, and even the name itself, it was Google My Business, and before that it was called something else, and then it's Google Business Listing, and then and this is all within like the last year or two, and then all of a sudden the app for Google My Business or Google Business Listing, now that has gone away. Now they want you to just use the Google Maps app. So they're always updating it, and I think that man, if you're hoping for if you're doing this as a profession, if you're hoping for a profession that never really changes, I don't think I would say keep looking because it's just always evolving, and you have to always keep up. But anyways, don't mean to be discouraging. Are there any other questions that I didn't get to yet? How to track all those? Yeah, that's a really good question. So some of those, so Sarah asked, like, how do you track all these things? It depends on which things you're referring to. So some of those things can be tracked through Google Search Console, which is free. Some of those things can be tracked through Google Analytics. I'm not sure about and then there are like paid SEO tools that you can use. I'm not sure if any of you use any of them. I would love for you to chime in here, but we use Ahrefs, like I mentioned. They do have some local search tools. Moz, huge SEO software as a service company. They're a little just slightly old school now, but they're still around, and they were one of the first to have local search tools. Yeah, and NAP mismatches, that's a great example. If you're using local SEO, like local SEO part of a paid SEO service, they're going to scan the web for you on those. So Sarah, that's a great example. Moz is looking for stuff like that. I think Ahrefs can look for stuff like that. They might say, hey, your business name is this over here, but it's this over here. Your address has a suite number over here, but that you don't over here. And that's good stuff to update. It can be a real pain to update that, but it should be pretty uniform. So, all right, any other questions before we move beyond local and into national and international SEO? You guys still awake? Okay, Khan is awake. Well, Khan, if you're the only person that gets anything out of this second half, it was worth it, right? Okay, great. You guys are awake. Love it. Okay, thanks so much for chiming in. Cody, cool. Thanks, guys. Coffee in hand. Love it. All right, just so I'm with you, Eric. Check it out. Look what I got here. Look at this. We got LaCroix, a bottle of water, and a smoothie. So I'm with you. I'm ready to rock and roll here. Let's nerd out together. Okay, here we go. So we already got past that. Let's talk about national and international SEO. I might just say national SEO because it saves me like a hair of a second. And if you don't know already, what is SEO? Maybe you missed the beginning and you just don't know. SEO is, I feel like we should have started with this honestly, but so SEO is search engine optimization. It's the process of increasing the quality and quantity of website traffic by increasing the visibility of a website or page of a website to users on a web search engine. Here's another definition, this one from Ahrefs. SEO is the practice of growing a website's traffic from organic search results and involves things like keyword research, content creation, link building, and technical audits and more. So why is it important in 2022? Some of this webinar, I've been referring to that massive annual report that the Search Engine Journal puts out, but I'm going to share my own experience, my own answer to that question, because I do get asked that kind of a question sometimes. And here, if someone said, hey, is SEO still important? Why is it still important? Here's what I would say. I'd say, okay, here are the number of Google searches every day, 8.5 billion. And by the way, the last time I did this webinar earlier this year, it was 5.6 billion. So it's only going north. Things can be done so your website appears in those 8.5 billion daily searches, okay? And things can be done so your website ranks higher in those searches. And things can be done so your website falls in the ranks in those searches. In fact, one company I was working with, they did some things and not only fell, but they got wiped off of Google. Google said, you're done. And they were no longer allowed on Google until we tracked Google down and talked it through with them in person at a conference. And it was brutal. But anyways, so yeah, things can happen. It happens. I've seen it. You don't want that to happen, especially if you're like that company and they're getting, you know, $10,000 to $20,000 a day in revenue from Google traffic. You don't want to mess with that traffic. You don't want to play games with that traffic. It does matter. Okay. So there are a lot of updates happening with Google. And if you're not paying attention to those and your competitors are, or if you're just following old irrelevant trends, yes, I see this way too much. You can be getting passed up, wasting your time, possibly even harming your business, like that example I just mentioned. Meanwhile, your competitors are potentially doing SEO properly, getting the customers, you're not. They're going for it, you're not. They're getting clicks, you're not. You get the picture here. So yes, it matters. We know what SEO is, we know why it's important, but how do we actually compete with other businesses? Well, this is a very, very similar answer. It's probably the same exact answer I had at the beginning of that last half of our webinar here. By understanding Google's ranking signals and working to accommodate those as much as possible within reason. And why do I say within reason? Well, because some people are, you know, if you're spending thousands of dollars a month working to accommodate those and the ROI isn't matching or exceeding, then yeah, then that's unreasonable, right? But there are certain things that can be done and that should be done. So hopefully this will help you with that. So there are a lot of known ranking factors. They are changing often, but there are a lot that are not changing often too. So some studies show that there are over 200 ranking factors. Now it's an interesting sentence for me to say, because some folks would say, absolutely, and we want to study those studies. You know, the big time private studies have been done, and you can either purchase the results or you can go read the results by, you know, very reputable companies, not just you know, some guy in a basement somewhere. And while other experts in the industry have said, ignore that, just focus on this one thing. So what's right for you? Well, let's go through some of this, and then you can decide for yourself. These are known to be some of the most important SEO success factors. I'm going to buzz through them real quick. High quality content, on-page SEO, effective keywords, useful backlinks, security, crawlability, load speed, user engagement, website authority, mobile friendliness, and user friendliness. And I almost want to say, are you sure your company, your business is doing well with all of these? There's a good chance that there's room for improvement with some or many of these, I would guess. So if I haven't emphasized this already, I think I have, but the landscape is changing often in search. And the Jackie Chu, who is the global SEO lead for Uber, says, hey, despite the pandemic, Google has been hard at work. Changes in the Google algorithm did not lighten up. They seemingly increased velocity instead. This gentleman says, we've always known that Google chases the searcher, providing best-in-class search results is the core of their entire business. So like I said, they're not doing this to be meanies or play tricks on us. It's kind of our job to keep up with what are the top ranking factors and what seems to be, what makes sense for our businesses. So, but here are some of the most relevant current ones when it comes to national and international SEO that I feel like some people just really are not on top of at all. One example is that in 2022, images are now a huge thing in SEO. And I think a lot of people just totally ignore that. I don't know about you, but I work with a lot of websites, and some of those websites, they can't or won't take their own photos, all right? And they're just using stock photos. Even if they're fancy stock photos or if they're free stock photos, they're using stock photos. Well, let's talk about that for a second. The founder of the Search Engine Journal, which is, I would say, like the leading publication on SEO, that's my opinion. He said, the dependence on stock imagery is set to decline. Sites with unique images will see a large boost in image, product, and normal search. This is also a user behavior intent reaction as younger users identify or resonate with unique lifestyle images and can instantly tell if something is real or staged. Sometimes I'm sharing this with a business, and a lot of times it falls on deaf ears because they just don't want to shell out thousands of dollars for a nice photo shoot, and I don't blame them. But I don't think they realize how big of an impact that has when it comes to the traffic that's on their website, as well as the traffic that hasn't even made it to their website yet that may still be on the search engines. So bigger image blocks are displayed in the results for some queries. In other words, let's say you search for Air Jordans, you're going to see a lot of images in those search results nowadays, where 10 or 15 years ago you might not have seen any. The boon of good image assets isn't limited to the search engine results pages. She said Google Lens will enable shoppers to look for a product. Anybody else here use Google Lens, by the way? I'm a huge fan. I feel like I use it almost every day. Google Lens will enable shoppers to look for, I have to see the reaction. Yeah, Brianna does. That's awesome. Okay, Google Lens is awesome. Nerd moment here. But so to use it, you would just get the Google app on your phone, and then you can search using that little camera button right there. So I could click that, take a picture of this can of LaCroix, and it would pull up, here's where to buy LaCroix, things like that. Very, very helpful, especially when you're trying to search for something and you don't have the words for it. You like, what is this thing? I like certain kinds of vintage, almost antique furniture. My wife and I, we have, a lot of mid-century modern stuff. Sometimes I don't know what something's called, but I'll take a picture of it and boom, oh, that's what it's called. X back, whatever, and it's super, super helpful. All right, end of rant. Let's see here. So Google Lens will enable shoppers to look for a product using a photo on their device or found on a website, essentially a reverse image search with a solid use case for image optimization. In other words, hey, if you have real photos, that's going to help you. If you're just using stock photos, that's one more way that, in 2022, 2023, people are not going to be finding you on Google. That said, it would be wise for website owners to be more intentional with the photos they're using on their websites. If possible, they should be using original photos rather than stock photos. So even this, this photo might not have been taken with and you guys probably recognize this if you're in Reading, but this probably wasn't taken with a real nice camera, or maybe it was. I think nowadays I feel like I could almost do this with my cell phone, but it's an original image. And that kind of thing not only helps users, like I said, but that's also helping search engines. Here's another one. I'm sure you guys recognize this logo. It's not even that, it's not some amazing photo. It looks professional. So I guess I shouldn't say that, but this is speaking to users, it's engaging, it's also helpful to search engines. Here's some more. This is kind of bugging me. Not that I'm here to nitpick. Anyways, we'll move beyond that. Another SEO ranking factor is that the basics of high quality content are still very relevant. Oh my goodness. If I almost want to just take a highlighter and start highlighting my screen right now. Many websites, fail to create high quality content, and their users and the users and search engines are looking for something high quality. Here's a quote: rather than adding hundreds of pages of generic content to the site, yes, I see that kind of stuff often, research overall interests of the target audience, organize those entities by topic and prioritize them by the relevance of business goals. Focus on the information that's uniquely different from others and highlight your specialty in the topic area. Here's another great quote on this. The site-wide content quality effect. Google has said that in the past that you should be making sure that published pages that are indexable, in other words, ones that are to be showing up on search engine results pages, should be fantastic. Yes, they use the word fantastic. Stick to this as your SEO mantra and you'll have a future-proof SEO strategy for 2022. So this is an example of one SEO professional who says, you know what, guys, forget all of the other trends, ignore all of the noise, just have really high quality content on your site. That's all you need to do. Is it that simple? Well, you'll have to let us know how that works for your business. I think it depends on who you're up against, and I think there's more to it than that. But I do think there's a lot of merit in what they're saying. Here's another SEO agency co-founder, a great quote that I wanted to include here that happens to be from that same Search Engine Journal white paper that came out. So everything should be focused on the business and customer needs, not robots. Are you guys trying to appeal to robots? Stop it. So with this in mind, businesses must focus on having the best platforms for their niche, whether that is Shopify for e-commerce or Cloudflare for DNS management, or accessibility tools for compliance. SEO professionals should take control and work in coherence with another team to ensure proper architecture, coding, security, accessibility, user interface, user experience, and compliance. SEO is no longer just about driving traffic. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And this is a little bit, I don't want to say taboo, but I think that if you run around quoting this, you're going to be stepping on toes. And that's not something we really want to do, of course. But what the point is there are websites, and I've worked on them too, where the SEO needs, the things that need to be taken care of, quickly bleed into other categories, be it development or design, UI, UX, etc. Where we're doing SEO work here, but part of the SEO work happens to do with security, like your website's not secure, or we're doing SEO work here, but your bounce rate is like through the roof. It's almost 100%. Like we really need to improve the design of your homepage to lower your bounce rate, because it's going to help with your bounce rate, and that's a ranking signal too. Things like that, where it's going to be not just the quote unquote SEO, it kind of bleeds into other categories. I hope that makes sense. I think you guys are tracking with me. Number 3, websites, actually web pages.
Zach?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
I think this might be an important question here.
Okay.
Jacob is asking if you can define indexable.
Yeah,
He
sure.
wants to understand it in the way Google is interpreting it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you an example of an indexable page and a not so indexable page. So an indexable page would be like your homepage or your about page. A page that you would not want indexed would be, let's say you had an old about page and a new one. Well, do you want Google showing both of those? No way. You just want them showing the new one, right? So you would want to hide that old one and make sure that Google is not showing it. Another example would be, let's say you have a WordPress website, and your WordPress login was jacobswebsite.com/wp-admin. Well, you don't want Google showing that in their search results, right? That's a page you don't want indexed. Okay, so just think of indexed like part of their search results. Okay, so you can discourage certain pages, and you should discourage certain pages from being indexed, and you can do that in different ways depending on what your website's built on. And you can also do that using Google Search Console, which is a free Google product. Did I just speak Greek to you, or was that helpful? Jacob says, okay, so if you were editing a website and set a draft page to private or something, then it's safe because it cannot be found or indexed. I want to say yes, you got it, and I think you mostly got it. But your website is not so connected to Google that Google is going to go, oh, it's that's set to draft or private, because it sounds like you have a WordPress page website. Google's not going to go, oh, it's set to draft. Okay, we're good. Boop, it's gone. Well, it might not be that quick. Now, if they see that that there's a broken page there, that when they're crawling your site, they will probably pull that automatically. Yes, but they're not going to. I mean, unless you go to Google Search Console and have that page de-indexed right away, they're not going to know until the next time they crawl your site not to index that page. So I hope that's helpful. That's why we use, sitemaps, and that's why I use Google Search Console. You can go and you can say, okay, we don't want this page showing anymore. And it's not a huge deal if you have a good 404 page. But if someone goes to that page and it's missing, you don't want it to look broken. Preferably you have a nice 404 page where it says, oops, hey, that page can't be found, but hey, why don't you go to our homepage or use our search bar over here? Something along those lines would kind of gently redirect that traffic. Okay, you're very welcome. All right, guys, here we go. Number 3, websites, actually web pages. And the reason why we say that is it's not just about comparing one website to another. The SBDC Shasta-Cascade website, for example, it's not like we just want that to do well on the search engines, just that website by itself. No, we're actually looking at a page by page by page. When you're in Google, you don't click onto a website. You do, but you click onto a web page of a website, right? So you want to optimize the pages of a website. But anyways, so websites, actually web pages, often need to have authority to compete in search engine results pages. So when it comes to backlinks, in other words, links that point back to your website from other websites, quality ones, we're seeing that they're still very important, and they still bring your website's pages authority. So Google is still using this as a major ranking factor. And studies show that this is the #1 ranking factor not for local search, although this is known to be a local ranking factor as well. But for national and international SEO, some studies show that this is the #1 ranking factor. Okay, this is a big deal. The authority that your website has, or your web pages, in comparison to those that you're competing against. Okay, I want you to picture this really quick. You walk into a party. I'm just trying to drive this point home. You walk into a party and there's 100 people there. Okay, let's say each of those people represents a different web page, and they're all about that party. And you enter in, and which one do you talk to? You want to talk to one of them, but you don't know who. And there's one sitting in the corner. Let's pretend that you don't have any compassion. I feel like I would want to go sit in the corner with the lonely one and console them. So let's pretend that you don't have compassion for a moment, and you just want to go with the most popular one. You look around the room and you go, well, that person over there has 4 people around them listening to them share a story. Wow, I could go over there. Oh my goodness, there it is. And you look on the other side of the room and you see someone that has 17 people standing around listening intently to every word that they're saying. You found it. You found the most popular one. Well, this isn't the only ranking factor, but that's just an illustration to show you Google wants to show what's the most helpful search results to their users. And so if they see that one website let's say it's REI, outdoors sporting and outfitting kind of company. Let's say they have 500,000 quality backlinks, and then Joe's Sports Shop in Reading happens to have 3. Which one do you think is going to be ranking higher? Well, Joe's is probably going to be on the local search pack, and REI won't. But someone who's not searching for a local company, if they scroll past that local search pack, REI might be on top. Does that make sense? Are you guys tracking with me? So studies show that search engines rely heavily on them as ranking signals to help determine ranking positions in the search engine results pages. So now we're seeing that it's a lot harder now to get those quality backlinks. So this is, we tried to keep this very up to date for you. And this is, we talked about at the very beginning, the Google link spam algorithm update. I feel like that should have a catchy acronym, but it just does. So that rolled out halfway through 2021, and that just really, I would say, crippled any website, at least in the SEO world. any website who was gaining backlinks the old-fashioned way, which is not by doing businesses or asking friends to link back to their site or things like that, sponsoring events or things like that. No, they were, a lot of companies were just leaving comments in forums. Raise your hand if you've done that before. Entering your business name into comments on videos or things like that. Adding it to any directory you possibly could, even if it was some directory in Pakistan or wherever. So a lot of companies knew before 2021, oh, the more backlinks you have, the more authority you have. The more authority you have, the higher you are in the search results mostly. Well, let's just make sure we have more links than our competitors. That's what a lot of SEO professionals were doing, and business owners as well. And some are still doing that, unfortunately. So when Google said, we don't really like that. There's enough garbage online. We don't really think that's the best ranking signal. Now we see people hacking their way through that. So they took direct aim at it, and they rolled out this link spam algorithm update in July of 2021. And all of a sudden, if you look at that date in your analytics, you might see a major change. Wow, we used to get 100 visitors a day. Now we're getting 5. Well, you were probably leaning heavily on backlinks from, that weren't, at least what Google would call quality. And they do define quality. If you're having a hard time sleeping, they have a 100-page document on defining the word quality. It's a good read, but it's hard to make it through it because it's very thick, very heady. Anyways, so before you could get those backlinks from all sorts of sources, forums, etc., and now Google took direct aim at that. Okay, and so on to number 4. So we're seeing that if sites have a lot of backlinks, they're going to tend to do better in the search engines, and that they can go even further now if they're adding on top of that SEO keyword research. So what we're seeing is, the company that I'm with, we get requests for SEO keyword research, and that's fantastic. However, we've found that while that's a really good thing, that's not the first thing that you should do. If you don't have, and here's why, if you have a lot of authority, in other words, you have a lot of traffic and things like that, and then you're focusing on keyword research, then what we often find is an increase of 10, maybe 15 or even more % on a certain page. Well, if that was hundreds of dollars of SEO keyword research or more for that page, if you're a huge site with lots of traffic, lots of authority, then that moving the needle 10 to 15%, that is a positive ROI move. But if you are, Jenny's local driving school and you have 2 visitors a day, well, adding 10 to 15% of traffic on top of that might not be worth the cost of SEO keyword research. Did that make sense? I felt like I felt like I had a mouthful of marbles there, and that's kind of a hard thing to understand. But are you guys understanding that? Cody understands. Lindsay asks, does Google define backlinks as subpages on your website? No. Or when your website links to another site with anchor text? Yes. So Lindsay, let's say your website was like lindsayloveslambs.com and you sell lamb products or something. I was going for alliteration. I didn't know what to do with the L's there. Let's say that's your website, and you have two links from other websites, the Lamb Products International and whatever, readinglamlovers.com or something, and they're linking back to your website, and that's great. Well, and someone else down the street they say, oh, I like what Lindsay's doing, I'm going to open up my own shop like that, and they open up a store, they have 0 backlinks. You're probably going to outrank them Like I said, there are a lot of ranking factors, but this is known to be the most important one, studies show. And so you're probably going to do better than them. But if all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm going to go nuts with the backlinks, and they start getting really good backlinks left and right, kind of going back to that popularity contest thing that I was talking about, that illustration there, Google might go, I don't know. Man, New Girl's actually, pretty popular here. We might need to bump her up in our search results. So I hope that's helpful, Lindsay. Internal links on your own website are also known to help SEO, absolutely, big time. But it is different than a backlink from an external website. Yeah, you bet. Okay, so websites that are new to SEO should understand that obtaining high quality backlinks that are relevant would be one of the most important things to focus on in SEO. If they have that authority, they can now see fruit if they start optimizing their pages with proper SEO keyword research. We've seen web pages optimized properly for a particular search term as much as 2 to 10 times. And like I said, if you only get 1 visitor a day, and this is like what we see, if we're averaging out the work that we do, and you might be able to do even better than we do, but so if you can get 10 times the amount of traffic on a page, it just depends on how much traffic is already there. So if you already have 1 person and that grows to 10, that might not be worth it. But one example of a customer that we worked with where that was a power move is they're a very high-end fashion company in Los Angeles, and they do outfits for like Madonna and all these big name stars, and they're really, really expensive outfits. So for them, it made sense to pay us hundreds of dollars or more for 1 page at a time on their website, because hey, they might spend a few $100s, but if they're going to be getting back thousands or tens of thousands of dollars per page for that optimization, obviously that's worth it. So you'd have to kind of know what the value of the page is and that kind of thing. Like, is it, I don't want to get down to too granular, but I think you get the point. I'll stop expounding on that. So let's see here. So yeah, here's just a quick screenshot that kind of went along with what I was saying in that last slide. So the authority of news sites. So getting in publications, getting in articles, getting on high quality websites, it is hard. And that's why I put earlier that it maybe, count as like advanced, but it's really not advanced, like it's complicated. It's just, it takes a lot of effort, that's all. But it does earn you authority, okay? Importance of new search engine results page features. So the director of SEO for Shopify, a little old company called Shopify, had to say this. He said the search results have been become increasingly rich in search engine result page features that significantly impact click-through rates. You need to be able to measure that to spot opportunities and predict success. This is so big and so current. Greater SEO success comes by aligning strategies with the way people currently use the web, not the way they used the web 10 or 15 years ago. In other words, if you're only focusing on a certain kind of organic traffic, that might not be what you need right now. Like nowadays, it might be that you want to wind up in the little local search pack, or the little the image search results, or the product search results. There's so many things. If you look at a search engine result page nowadays, it's not just a bunch of text like it was 10 or 15 years ago. So it's cool if you can show up in the text part, the organic part, but that's not all that matters. So if we pretend that that's all that matters, we're missing it, I hate to say. When a potential customer Googles a query, they don't just see the organic channels, basically what I just said. They see ads, they see videos, they see enhanced search features, and traditional organic listings now with an endless scroll on mobile devices. Success comes when looking at the search engine result as one playing field to optimize for, not separate marketing channels. So when everyone is analyzing the search engine results page to define users' intent, you have to ask yourself, is Google showing us which results match users' intent, or are marketers regurgitating the same content? And that's all that's on the menu. So what should we be doing instead? Smart brands will stop thinking about how to be #1 in the search engine results pages organically and start thinking about how to be #1 in the mind of the customer. And we're getting close to the end here, guys. Thanks for hanging in. When you say what your audience needs to hear from the channels that they need to hear it, you become the authority. And I don't mean authority in that other sense. That's what drives better qualified leads for a lot less money than competing with competitors' basic campaigns. Okay, last one. So the importance of EAT, expertise, authority, and trust. I'm gonna go a little bit faster on this one, but let me scoot this out of the way. So Andrew Shotland, the founder and CEO of Local SEO Guide, refers to EAT as content usefulness. He says the challenge we have always had with EAT is that it's not really measurable, because we know that Google encourages EAT, expertise, authority, and trust. So they came up with their own metric, content usefulness, and they can measure that. So he says, for example, we see types of pages and content ranking for a large set of related queries. We can analyze those pages at scale and compare them to our site's pages. So the difference between the ranking pages and those that don't rank, often a specific type of content, like reviews or phone numbers, etc., can illustrate what content searchers, therefore Google, deem useful. And figuring this kind of stuff out and how to apply it to your site will likely not only be an SEO trend for 2022 and beyond, but for the foreseeable future. And so this is one more quote here. So no matter your approach to SEO, understand how to demonstrate an appropriate level of EAT on your site, your on-site content, link building, online PR, and even technical SEO. I'm going to just fast forward to one final takeaway, and I love this so much. And I want you to look at who this is from. Ahrefs is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, SEO software as a service companies. And here's what their product advisor, their technical SEO and brand ambassador had to say. And this is we're gonna end on this. This is such an interesting quote. He says, "Here's what I think people need to hear: ignore the trends." You know, we did talk about some trends. We talked about some things that have not been trends. They've been going on for years. But he says, ignore the trends. SEO professionals will have more success focusing on the basics, and that mostly involves content and links, internal and external links. Write or record content that matches what people are searching for and covers the topic well. Add expert insights, link to and get links from other pages on your site, and promote your content. Said, I see several trends continuing into the next year, but I don't know that they're really useful for the majority of SEO professionals. So unless something is a particular issue for your site or a site you work on, ignore the trends and get back to the basics and look for the other opportunities to improve your site. So I would say, if you haven't done that, if you have not taken this step of just making sure your website and your content are really high quality, we covered a lot of things. Don't look at all those things. Look at this and before you move forward. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're going to build a house, you start with the foundation. This is a really good foundation. Okay. So I know we covered a ton. I tried to make it not like sitting in front of a fire hose. I hope you didn't feel that way. But if you did, if you're confused or just want to yell at me, now is a good time to do that. Looks like we have a question from Alexandra. Is there a best practice to getting backlinks? I understand the importance of it, but what's the best way? Thank you. I love that question. Alexandra, that's exactly what you should be wondering, and that means you're paying attention. So good job. And there are a bunch of ways. And Cody and Desiree, oh, sorry, it was overwhelming, Desiree. Glad it was helpful, Cody. There are a bunch of ways of getting backlinks, and that itself would be an 1.5 or 2-hour session that we obviously can't do here and now. The number one most popular way would be creating really, really good content that people end up liking so much that they link back to. That's the #1 way. But there are a lot of ways. A couple other really quick would be doing outreach. Like I've done outreach. My team has done outreach for companies where they're trying to get backlinks from around the web, reaching out, and there's one called broken link building, and you're trying to find broken links. And you say, oh, we found, okay, we use such and such tool like Ahrefs, and found a broken link on a relevant website, and you email the company and said, hey, we really like your article so much, but we noticed that you have a broken link. And we happen to be, as a broken link to that bike shop, we happen to be a great bike shop. We would love for you to consider linking to us instead. Well, it might take like 80 emails before you get 1 or 2 people to say yes to that. So that can be time consuming, but there are outreach ways, things like that that can be done. One last one that comes to mind really quick would be if you were an established brand, like the one company that we work with, we used a tool called BuzzSumo. I don't know if you've heard of that one or not, but what it does is it searches the web for unlinked brand mentions. In other words, we typed in the company's name, and it searches the web, and it says, oh, here's a mention of the brand that doesn't happen to have a link yet. And so then we would use that tool to go to that page, and one of them actually was on the channel with the exclamation point, you know. We said, hey, we noticed that you mentioned the brand that we're doing SEO work for in your article. Thanks so much for that. Would it be possible that you would also link to this company? And they actually got back the next day and said, we'd be happy to. And they added a link. Isn't that crazy? What a great link from a high authority website like that. So anyways, there's a bunch of ways, and those are 3 quick ones to answer your question. Shauna asked, can I get a copy of the slides? Yes. I believe David, you bet, Alexandra, I think David will be handing those out, he said. So I think those will be emailed out sometime in the next day or 2, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, any other questions, or is that pretty much wrap it up? I'm glad it was helpful, Lindsay. You bet, Con. Okay, David, I think that's a wrap.
Okay. And yes, we will be emailing copies of the slides. We'll also be emailing a link to the recording of the video here. That'll happen in the next day or so. I've also put a link to a survey in the chat. We'll also send that link out in the email. If you don't mind filling that out, giving us some feedback. Zach and I both have thick skin. We can take it.
That's right.
And we'd just like to learn how we can improve and do a little better. And if you have ideas for any other topic that you'd like to see us cover, we'd like to hear what those are as well. So beyond that, yeah, I think we're there. Alexandra is asking, will you be doing / possible to do a series that gets more deep into specific questions? Not a bad idea. One of the things you could do, Alexandra, also would be to contact your local SBDC. They probably have someone who's an expert on SEO and can get more specific with you and your specific situation. If you're in the Reading area, Zach is one of our advisors, and you can meet with him for free and talk to him about what your specific situation is. And so, yeah, you know, that would be available to you. It's one of the benefits of the SBDC.
Well, thanks so much for participating, guys. Thanks so much for hanging in there. I know it went a little bit over, I think, but hope you have a great rest of your day. And maybe we'll see you next time we do an SEO webinar, and definitely feel free to reach out. All right. Thanks again. And until next time.
Take care. Thanks.